Hello friends, welcome to this video where we will discuss in detail about the second part of your SOP, that is a statement of purpose preparation, where we will discuss how to present your dreams, your ambitions, your aspirations in a winning way so that you gain your desired selection to the B school. We have already covered the first part of SOP preparation, that is how to present your life story so far. So if you have not watched that particular video, do so before you start watching this video. The link to the first part is given in the description. As an MBA aspirant, you are at a particular point in your career from where you have certain goals and aspirations, which means that you would like to go to a much higher level. So from here, you would like to reach a desired level, which is your goal. Now, how do we reach that? There would be multiple ways to do that. And one of the ways would be to do a full-time program in management. Now, that final goal is one of the options. Let us say plan A. There could be further plans. There could be plan B, which may not be related to management, some other area of interest to you where you want to go further in life. So there could be plan A, plan B, plan C, where A is your predominant goal. Now, why do we say B and C? Now, the reason why I mentioned about plan B, plan C is that in an SOP, there would be some institutes who would ask you like, what is your alternate career plan? Wherein we are not necessarily talking about management as a career plan, we are talking about your plan B or plan C. While we discuss your dreams, your goals, your aspirations, predominantly we are talking about three specific questions. Question number one, what are your career goals, which would mean both short-term goals and long-term goals. Question number two, how would a program in management help you to reach your career goals? Point number three, okay, we understand that you have a management career in mind for which you want to do a professional management course, a program, full-time program at a quality B school. We understand that. Third question is, why choose our particular B school? Why this B school? So let us address all these points. First of all, we know that we require management skills in whichever field of life we are in. For example, let us take a good professor in your college. Okay, somebody who is revered by students, excellent classes, excellent mentoring and all that. Now, as this professor gains experience over the years, he then graduates to become, let us say, the head of the department, and then moving on becomes the principal of the college. At that level, more than his teaching skills, what is required is his management skills, isn't it? Where, as a principal, he may not have enough time to take the kind of classes or the number of classes that he used to as a professor. Here, majority or all of his time is spent on managing the resources of the college. For example, looking after the routine administration thing, looking at the future development of the college, looking at managing funds, bringing in funds, looking at avenues for funds, managing the students, managing the college union, managing or keeping the stakeholders of the college happy, and public relations with the media, with the public. So a lot of things. You understand that in a career, in whichever career it is, as we get on in our career and our role widens, our responsibilities enhances, and we keep advancing into the higher echelons of whichever organization we are in, then the enormity of our responsibilities increase, for which we will need to have more and more of managerial qualities and expertise. Let's take another example. Say a fresh mechanical engineer, a fresh BTech, joins an automobile company. As a fresher, he would be working in one corner of the factory, in one corner of the shop floor, for example, in one specific area within a department, isn't it? where his responsibilities would be limited, and then he keeps on learning, understanding the various functions of his role that would diversify as the years go by. He would be getting promotions. He becomes, say, the deputy manager production, maybe moving on to become the manager production and all that. He would, as he graduates, he would over a period of time be in charge of, let us say, a particular stage of the production process. Let us say the whole production process, the assembly line that is has 5 stages. He would then be in charge of one stage, or he might be in charge of the inspection quality control. He might be in charge of the packaging. He might be in charge of the procurement division. So his responsibilities would increase. Then he would, at one point of time in his career, become the general manager of that particular factory, or the designation is not important. What I'm saying is the head of that particular factory. Then over a period of time, he would become, let us say, the vice president, operations or production, where he would have multiple factories under his control and so on. So as he goes higher up in responsibilities, in roles, he need to bring in more of his managerial expertise. Let's say even at the lower level where he's managing, let us say, one stage of the entire multi-stage production process, he would have to be the one who is in touch with his employees, look at their productivity, look at absenteeism, for example. You can't say that that's an HR job, can you? You will talk about your process control. You would talk about the effective flow of operations, so operations management. You would have an eye on the wastage. You would have an eye on the inputs which are coming in, which has to be of quality. You would also have an eye on the cost control factors. So your cost of inputs, your productivity, everything runs into financial management, isn't it? Because ultimately that translates into bringing in revenue. Remember, revenue is not just through sales. A 1 rupee cut down on cost, not compromising quality, means your possibility of that 1 rupee going into your kitty as a profit increases, isn't it? So in every walk of life, you need management skills, every walk of life. So when you talk about what you want to be in future, look at the kind of careers or the career options that you are interested in. Would you like to go into any particular area of work? Would you like to be part of certain specific industries? Do you have a short list or a choice of industries and so on? Let us look at some of the options. One of the most popular options is a corporate career. That means a plethora of opportunities or domains open up, isn't it? You have investment banking, e-commerce, information technology, commercial banking, consulting, product companies, service organizations, HR companies, HR roles in organizations, marketing, advertising, and we can go on and on. Interestingly, one of the most sought after roles of people who go into top-notch B schools is consulting. And this is something which is very popularly mentioned in SOPs. In fact, 2 things which are mentioned very popularly in SOPs. One is consulting, the second is entrepreneurship. You would get questions on consulting. So if you are mentioning that as an interest in as a career goal, then do watch my video on consulting, where I discuss with one of my students who's a top-notch consultant in a global multinational consulting firm. The link is given in the description. You could take up roles in multinational companies or in startups. You could be looking at working in India, or your aspirations might be to go abroad. So think about what you want to do. Let your dreams fly high, not an issue at all. Now, don't be diffident in thinking that, okay, will I be able to go that far in my career? Be confident enough to mention what you want to do in your career. Apart from a corporate career, another option obviously is entrepreneurship, where you would like to set up your own company, your own venture in the future. So you can then talk about when you want to do it. For example, you can say that I would like to go into this particular industry, work for a few years, because that is going to connect me with what I want to do in entrepreneurship in future. So the X number of years that I work in this industry or connected multiple industries would give me the kind of exposure experience which will help me to set me on my path to go out on my own venture. You can also say that as soon as I graduate from this B school, I would be looking at presenting my business plan, looking for investors. That's also possible. So you can have your own story, whether you want to go into select domains. You don't necessarily have to say one domain. You can possibly say or mention 2 or 3 domains that you want to be in the corporate world, or your dream of starting your own venture. All these things you can say very confidently. Be confident about saying that. Over the years, I have been extremely gratified to see many of my students, many students reach the higher echelons of various organizations, many of them heading organizations or in senior levels. For example, in consulting, I can mention Vishnu Giri, who was the partner of PwC. He got picked up by PwC from IIM Calcutta campus placement, and he continued to be with PwC over the years, reaching the level of a partner. Another student again from IIM Calcutta, Jitendra Patmakumar, is the director of ANZ. I can cite several examples of my students like this. The point I'm making is these people who have reached the higher levels of their organizations were just like you, going through their preparation for interview at B schools a few years ago. They also, like you, had their aspirations, ambitions, dreams, goals, and they fulfilled it. So go ahead and specify your dreams, what you have in mind. That's your dream. You should own that dream. That is the most important point. You should be able to very clearly spell out your story. It's your story. Be confident to say that. Another area that you could go into after your B school is academics. When you're a professor at a top-notch B school, you also do a lot of consulting assignments with the industry, with the government organizations, sometimes doing studies for the government, presenting reports. So a career in academics at some of the leading B schools is an extremely rewarding one. Again, to quote examples, I have several students who have taken that route. For example, Professor Srinivas Sahasranamam, who did his PhD at IIM Kozhikode, is a professor at Adam Smith Business School in Glasgow. Look at the levels he has reached in just a few years. Then there is Jeevan Arakil, who is a professor at TAPME. There's Jayakrishnan, who is a professor at Wellington Institute of Management, and so on. So again, many students who have made it into academics and doing extremely well. Another career option that you have is to go into the social sector. You can also step into the development sector. For example, I have my student Aditya Nair, who is from IIM Ahmedabad. He is currently the head of planning and performance at the global organization called Save the Children International, which has a footprint over 116 countries. It's a huge organization involving more than 25,000 people. I vividly remember Aditya having a deep interest in economics, particularly developmental economics, and it comes to me as no surprise that he has reached this stage in his career. There is a very interesting route to take, which gives you wider ambit of responsibilities and makes you some kind of a prime mover in the industry, within an industry, or a mover and shaker kind of person who can influence the trade and development of a state or a country. There are roads like that. Let me give you examples of 2 of my students. One is Rishikesh, who did his MBA from IIT Kharagpur. And a few years later, he became the CEO of the 3 IT parks in Kerala. So he was the center figure in driving the development of information technology in the entire state of Kerala, because these 3 IT parks were spread across the northern part of Kerala, the central part of Kerala, which is Cochin, and the southern part of Kerala, which is Trivandrum. So here is the case of a person after his MBA who is influencing the development of a particular industry in a state. Right now, he has moved on to become the president of the World Trade Center. He is currently based in Chennai, where he coordinates with the World Trade Center Association in USA and plays a key role in bringing in investment, trade, business into India. And he coordinates with various trade organizations for getting this done, like, for example, FICCI, Association, and so on. So from a state level kind of role, he has moved into a national level role. Another beautiful story is that of my student Ajay Prasad, who graduated from IIM Calcutta. Now, Ajay, while he was doing his BTech in College of Engineering, Trivandrum, was very passionate about development of the city. So he used to blog even at that stage as a student of an engineering college. So he used to talk about the kind of opportunities, the kind of development that the city of Trivandrum should have and all that. And Ajay's story develops in such a way that post IIM Calcutta, after a few years, he took charge as the MD and CEO of Taurus India, which is the Indian arm of Taurus USA. And he succeeded in setting up the first special economic zone building in Technopark, Technocity in Trivandrum. The first building, which is called Niagara, was inaugurated on the 10th of January this year by the Chief Minister, a 1.5 million square feet of area for IT companies. The entire space has been taken up. The second building, again 1.5 million square feet, is coming up next to it. So here is this wonderful story of a young man who had visions of development of his city, and maybe about 15 odd years later, that he could translate that into reality by enabling such a huge facility which will bring in information technology companies, top-notch multinational companies, giving jobs to so many IT professionals. So that is why I call Rishikesh and Ajay as part of the movers and shakers of the industry. So when you look at the corporate world itself, your role can be within a company, within an industry, or even widening the scope and going beyond to a state or national level. I'm just enunciating the kind of possibilities that you have. So we talked about entrepreneurship also, we talked about academics also. Now, apart from all this, you can chart your own path. So it is not necessary that you need to be confined into any of these areas. For example, I have my students who have gone into the movie industry. I have somebody who is part of Rich Chili's entertainment. I have a student who is in a very senior managerial role planning out the ISL, the Football League. You have the very often repeated example of Harsha Bogle from IIM Ahmedabad, Chetan Bhagat again from IIM Ahmedabad. So the sky is the limit. I mean, there are again a lot more avenues that you could look at post your MBA. So based on what I have told you, think about your career goals. Look at short-term and long-term career goals. So these are some of the ideas that I was just throwing up for you, and these are only some of the possibilities. There is more to it which you can think of. Now, what you specifically want to do in your career. So what are your goals? Look at it both long-term and short-term. Short-term means what you want to do over the next 5 years post your MBA, and long-term is beyond. Dare to dream and have a plan to substantiate it. The point I've been making all along is that whatever you say, be it in an SOP or in an interview, that is fine as long as you can substantiate it. That is your plan of action. Now, freshers who are straight out of college and don't have work experience, or people who have limited work experience, maybe a year or so, may not have that kind of clarity in shortlisting industries that they want to be and so on. That is understandable. But again, talk to people, read a lot, look at things which seem to be of interest to you, read about people with similar backgrounds who have gone into avenues that you want to be in, speak from your heart, because that is what you want to do, right? You're not cooking up a story. That is what you want to do. Say that. Justify that. Add muscle and flesh to the dreams and present it. They're going to ask you counter questions. They are trying to put you under pressure to see whether you stand by your story. Never get confused. So we'll tackle that further when we come to the interview stage. So whatever be your dreams, put that on paper, explain it. Now, unlike a fresher, if you are a person with work experience, then you are supposed to have more clarity about your goals, your long-term and short-term goals. Because here you are working in an industry, working in an organization, throwing up your job, letting go of your salary for 2 years and joining a B school. So there should be some reason behind it, isn't it? So talk about that. You can talk about people with management skills that you have seen in your company, in your industry, the kind of interactions you had with them, the kind of roles that they play, the kind of skills that they bring to the table, your aspiration to be wanting to be somebody like that, the kind of roles in your organization that you have seen which are being played by management professionals, your aspiration to take up those senior roles. So in short, talk to people who have tread a similar path that you want to take, draw from their experiences, read stories of similar people who have given wings to their dreams, try and relate to that. So once you think about your story and then try and draw parallels, then you will feel more confident to present your story. And you would start speaking from your heart, which you should. So that is how you answer the first important question, that is, what's your goal, long-term and short-term? Now let us come to the second question. Why do you want to do a management program? As we all know, the business today is truly global. Products are launched at a global level. For example, let's look at your mobile phones. Competition is intense. It is very fast-paced. Changes are happening at an extremely fast pace in every industry. For example, let's look at the automobile industry, for example. So companies need to adapt to the changing environment, do things better than the competition to stay in contention. They need to also understand the way the business or the industry is moving. For example, again, automobile industry. How will the industry be 10 years from now? How is the IT industry going to be 10 years, 20 years from now? We talk about automation, for example, isn't it? So companies are always trying to innovate and do things much better than the competition. And they are looking for management professionals who can drive that kind of growth. So the management professionals of today and tomorrow need to be much more savvy than the management professionals of yesterday. Because the changes which have happened over the last 5 years is much faster or much more impactful than the changes which have happened during the previous 15 years. So the changes which will happen over the next 5 years, 10 years would be much more impactful than what has happened over the last 25, 30 years, maybe 50 years. So the companies are looking for management professionals who can drive that kind of a change, isn't it? People who have that kind of a vision. People who are going to be part of that kind of a drive, initiative, growth the moment they join the organization post their MBA. Management professionals who are going to drive their department a few years from now, then head organizations a further few years from now. So you are looking at imbibing those skills through a 2-year of regimented, focused, practical-oriented program at a quality B school. Now the words I use like innovation, having a vision, extremely critical for management professionals and for organizations. Look at the story of Kodak, which discovered digital camera but still took the path to its own demise. Look at what happened to Nokia, which was ruling the roost before the advent of smartphones. What happened to BlackBerry? So many stories of companies which were heading the particular industry they were in, but then failed to innovate, failed to understand the changes in their industry and fell from grace. So that is why having that kind of a vision, having that kind of an outlook, having the ability to innovate, be a front runner is something that management professionals have to do, and that is what you are trying to gain by going through the 2-year program at a quality B school. So the question, why do you want to do a program in management? The answer is simple. What do you get from a B school? A thorough, comprehensive, conceptual understanding about the various facets and functions of management backed by intense practical orientation. How do you get that? Through case studies, through management games, through simulations, through live projects, through business models, by interacting with quality faculty who have rich industrial exposure. They also do consulting work with leading organizations, professional managers who handle papers. For example, if you have a paper in advertising management, you might have a person who is a top-notch professional in the advertising world. Somebody from a top-notch marketing company might be invited to handle a paper on Salesforce management. I'm just giving examples. You have interaction with your alumni, and all the top-notch B schools have some of the alumni who are who is who in their respective fields of work. You get to interact with top professionals heading organizations or in senior management levels. You get to network with them. You will get to interact with doyens from the industry who would be delivering lectures for you. Look at the kind of luminaries who are present during the convocation ceremonies at top B schools. You get to learn a lot, in fact, outside the classroom. How do you do that? For example, interaction with your peers, because they come from different educational backgrounds, from different cultural backgrounds, from various industries. Some of them would have worked in some of the big time industries. They come from various functional areas and they bring their experience into the classroom, because a lot of times your work is in study groups, groups of 4, groups of 5, where you learn quite a lot. Then there are clubs, activities, events, forums, committees, festivals which are held, could be cultural fairs, management fairs, and you get to organize them and more. So all these experiences together in the first year would give you an idea about the various functions of management. And then you do your 2 months of a summer internship in an organization and then come back. And with that experience, you have a much clearer idea in your mind about the kind of careers that you want to have. So that would be different from what you're thinking right now, because by then you would be exposed to the various ways of working of companies, organizations, thoughts, processes, and you would pick and choose your electives in the second year, depending upon what kind of career path that you're looking at. So I hope I've given you a clear idea about how education is imparted in a top-notch B school, the kind of inputs that you get, the extent of practical orientation, which will set you up as a quality management professional by the time you graduate. At a quality B school, they also teach you how to adapt to the life post an MBA. For example, let us say your class starts at 8:45 in the morning. You have to be there before 8:45, or else you will find the door beautifully closing in front of you. No chance of getting in. If the faculty is asking you to submit something online, could be a small project work, could be an assignment, they would set a deadline. Say it is a minute before midnight, let us say 11:59 in the night, you need to submit before that. The link goes off. So unlike in your college days where you could have gone up to the faculty with your own sob story asking for an extension, all that, nothing works. You will have surprise quizzes. You might be having a lunch in the canteen. Suddenly there will be a message coming on your mobile which says that rush for quiz at 2 o'clock. All those things happen. Work gets piled on. So the kind of rigors that they train you for equips you to seamlessly move into the corporate world. We talk about campus to corporate connect, right? So that is what top-notch B schools so beautifully provide. So step right into the institute, visualize yourself being a part of that institute, part of all the clubs, committees, activities, events, the life which happens there, the kind of learning that the institute offers. There are some particular links that you should also check out, which typically students don't. You would see a link saying about the institute. So click on that and it will talk about the mission statement of the institute, the vision of the institute. What is it that they offer? What kind of management professionals that they hope to bring forth from the institute? Try and have some kind of connect. I'm not saying copy it down in the SOP, but have some kind of a connect. Look at what they are offering. Also, click on the link which is called the director's statement and see what the director is talking about, what that institute is offering, the kind of students that they hope to mold during the 2 years of stay at the B school, and that will also offer ideas. Talk to your seniors who have gone through that B school, talk to mentors at that B school, because once you get an interview call, then there will be senior students at the B school who would reach out to you and then start mentoring you. So get ideas to try and connect with that particular B school so that you can easily answer the question why you want to study at that B school. Have a sense of ownership of being a part of the B school when you answer that question. Visualize yourself as being part of the B school by understanding what happens there. When you go through the mission, vision statements of the B schools, invariably you will find the word ethics, integrity mentioned there. That is something that the institutes would stand for. In fact, once you join the B school during the first term, you will have a paper on ethics in business. So your SOP should also reflect that part of your personality. In the SOP, some B schools will put up a question like, tell us about an ethical dilemma that you faced in life. How do you answer that question? Now in the society, there are Lakshman Rekhas, there are accepted norms, behavioral norms, procedural norms which are outlined. The same goes with organizations also, where they have rules, guidelines, procedures, isn't it? So you're expected to be on the right side of the Lakshman Rekha. Now, when we talk about ethical dilemma, broadly two ways of answering it. One, you can talk about situation or situations where there was pressure on you to cross the Lakshman Rekha, but you didn't. And you explain how you managed that situation. The second way of looking at it is the situation invariably forced you to have a minor transgression, not a major one. Play it down. Minor transgression which you regretted and which you learned from. So we are all human, isn't it? I mean, there are failures, there are mistakes which happen in our life. We are not perfect. Nobody is. The more important thing is to learn from those failures, learn from those mistakes and become a better person. So you can again mold your story that way also to answer this question on ethical dilemma. The final question in the SOP would be like, is there something that you would like to tell us in addition to whatever we have asked you? Anything else that you would like to inform us or tell us? And you can fill that space in a few lines. Say something which has not been covered so far in the SOP, which will add on to your candidature. Some small facets about yourself which can be a selling point or selling points. It is like a question which you wish they had asked you, but they didn't. So here they are giving you an opportunity to make your own statement, which has not been covered in the SOP so far, which will add to your candidature. So hope you have gained from these two sessions on SOP and that I have given you an extensive idea about how to go about writing your own SOP. I know that we have taken a lot of time on this, but it's extremely important because this is the first document that the prof who is going to sit at the interview panel is getting about you, something which you have written about yourself. So it's extremely important that you prepare your SOP well. That should be a job well begun, which will help you to finish the job beautifully during the interview stage. Appreciate your time. Hope my insights were valuable and you benefit from my expertise. Catch the next video in our GD interview mastery series for MBA aspirants. The link is in the description. Stay tuned for more success tips.